So, review lang natin yung definition ng cash. So, cash includes money and other negotiable instruments that is payable in money and acceptable by the bank for deposit and immediate credit. So, na-discuss natin to sa last video natin. So, sabi natin, accordingly, cash includes checks, bank drafts, and money orders because these are acceptable by the bank for deposit or immediate encashment. So, dun sa last video, na-discuss na natin yung checks. So, ngayon, i-discuss natin yung bank drafts and money orders. So, basta tandaan guys, yung checks, bank drafts, and money orders ay kasama sa cash. Okay? So, in general, no, kunyari, nakita nyo, checks, 100,000. So, ibig sabihin, i-include natin yan sa cash. Okay? So, pera na lang, kunyari, nakalagay post-dated checks. So, na-discuss natin kung ano yung treatment pagdating sa post-dated checks. Kung ikaw si payer and ikaw si payee. So, basta checks, bank drafts, and money orders, included siya sa cash. So, ano ba yung bank drafts and money orders? Next is bank draft. So, bank draft is a check that a bank provides for a customer drawn by the bank itself. So, the bank guarantees the check because it has already paid for it. So, yung bank draft ay negotiable instrument din where payment is guaranteed by the issuing bank. So, sino yung nag-issue ng bank draft? Yung bank mismo. Okay? So, kunwari ako, si buyer, bibili ako ng house and lot. So, since hindi ako kilala ni seller, ang i-require niya sa akin na pambayad instead na personal check ay bank draft. Kasi, para assurance or security yun kay seller, since hindi niya ako kilala or wala kaming relationship, so mas secured yung bank draft kaysa sa personal check. Kasi pag personal check, ako ang nag-issue ng check, so pwedeng tumalbog, diba? Pwedeng maging bouncing check. Kunwari, nag-issue ka ng check tapos wala naman pala siyang sufficient fund. While yung bank draft ay hindi siya tatalbog. Kasi, bago pa mag-issue or mag-draw ng check si bank, ay binayaran ko na kay bank yun. So, ibig sabihin, pupunta ako kay bank or kaya magre-request ako kay bank dahil bibili ko ng house and lot. So, magre-request ako ng bank draft kay bank. So, bago siya mag-draw ng check, so, i-deduct niya muna yun sa account ko. So, kaya naka-reserve na yung amount, kunyari 5 million, sa yung 5 million na yun. So, once na kinuha or kaya pinresent na ni seller yung bank draft dun sa check. So, meron nang ibabayad agad si bank kasi naka-reserve na yung amount. So, kaya sabi the bank guarantees the check because it has already paid for it. So, dinidak na dun sa account ni customer. So, kaya yung bank draft ay recorded siya as cash. Next is money order. So, money order is a safe alternative to cash or personal check usually issued by a government or banking institution that works similarly to check. So, ang money order ay inire-record din natin as cash. So, kunwari tayo, wala tayong checking account, tapos kailangan magbayad tayo dun sa inutangan natin. So, ang nirequire sa atin money order. So, saan tayo kukuha or bibili ng money order? Sabi sa government or banking institution. Sa post office, pwede kang bumili ng money order. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, bago ka issuehan nung post office or nung bangko ng money order, so babayaran mo muna yung amount na ilalagay natin doon sa money order. So, kaya, sabi dyan, safe alternative to cash or personal check. So, usually, kapag yung amount ay hindi ganun kalaki, so, money order. But kapag masyado ng malaki, yung amount ay bank draft. Okay? So, ang bank draft, ang nag-i-issue lang nun ay yung bangko. Pero si money order, pwedeng government or banking institution. So, kaya si bank draft and money order ay recorded as cash kasama ni check. Next, unrestricted cash. So, there is no specific standard dealing with cash. The only guidance is found in PAS 1, paragraph 66, which provides that an entity shall classify an asset as current when the asset is cash or cash equivalent, unless it is restricted to settle a liability for more than 12 months after the end of the reporting period. So yan, na-discuss din natin yan sa CFAS. So sabi natin, yung asset ika-classify as current kapag siya ay cash or cash equivalent, unless it is restricted to settle a liability for more than 12 months after the end of the reporting period. So ibig sabihin, kung yan ay restricted to settle a liability for more than 12 months after the end of the reporting period, hindi siya pwedeng i-classify as current asset. So, ibig sabihin, to be reported as cash, an item must be unrestricted in use. So, this means that the cash must be readily available in the payment of current obligations and not be subject to any restrictions, contractual or otherwise. Cash items included in cash. So, ito guys, kailangan nyo siyang tandaan, no? So, pwede nating hatiin sa tatlo yung cash. So, meron tayong tinatawag na cash on hand, cash in bank, and cash fund set aside for current purposes. So, ano ba yung cash on hand? So, cash on hand includes undeposited cash collections and other cash items awaiting deposit, such as customers' checks, cashiers or managers' checks, travelers' checks, bank drafts, and money orders. So, pag sinabi natin cash on hand, let's say naka-receive tayo ng check from customers, so hindi pa natin na-deposit, so inire-record natin yon as cash on hand. Okay? So, undeposited cash collections, kung meron kang cash na nasa iyo, hindi mo pa siya nade-deposit, so ibig sabihin recorded siya as cash on hand. Okay? So, bank drafts and money orders. While pag sinabi natin cash in bank, this includes demand deposit or checking account or savings deposits which are unrestricted as to withdrawal. Ito naman yung cash natin na nasa bank. So, basta unrestricted as to withdrawal. So, ibig sabihin, anytime pwede natin siyang i-withdraw. So, yun yung demand deposit or checking account, yun yung current account and savings deposit. While yung pangatlo, cash fund set aside for current purposes. So, ito yung cash na sinet aside natin or inallocate natin for current purposes. So, tulad ng petty cash fund, payroll fund, and dividend fund. So, kunyari, ito yung petty cash fund, let's say, meron kang 20,000 cash dyan, so itinabi natin as petty cash fund. So, ito, gagamitin lang natin pag meron tayong mga small disbursement or small expenses. So, kunyari, kailangan natin ng transportation, so, pang masahe. So, instead na mag-withdraw ka pa sa cash mo dun sa bangko, so kukuhanin mo na lang dun sa petty cash fund. Okay? So, recorded pa rin siya as cash. So, sinet aside mo lang siya for short term or yung mga small expenses. So, payroll fund. Ano naman yung payroll fund? Iyan naman yung cash na inallocate mo or itinabi mo para pambayad ng sweldo. So, current pa rin yung purpose niyan kasi hindi ka naman magpapasweldo ng after a year, diba? So, ibig sabihin, gagamitin mo ulit yan or pambabayad mo dun sa sweldo. So, ang purpose niya ay current. Ganun din sa dividend fund. So, kapag nag-declare ng dividend, so, ito, nag-declare tayo ng dividend, so, ito, i-allocate natin for dividend. So, ang purpose niya ay current para ma-classify siya as cash. Okay? So, tandaan, cash on hand, cash in bank, cash fund set aside for current purposes. Since na-discuss na natin dun sa cash items included as cash, yung pangatlo, diba, cash fund set aside for current purposes. So, i-discuss na natin yung cash fund for a certain purpose. So, if the cash fund is set aside for use in current operations or for the payment of current obligation, it is a current asset. So the cash fund is included as cash and cash equivalents. So kapag ang cash fund ay gagamitin for current operation or for the payment of current obligation, so inire-record natin yung cash fund na yon as current asset, recorded as cash and cash equivalents. So example niyan, petty cash fund, payroll fund, travel fund, interest fund, dividend fund, and tax fund. So kung mapapansin niyo, so ibig sabihin sinet aside natin yan for current operation. So para gamitin natin sa current operation and or kaya para bayaran yung current liability natin or obligation. Okay? So tandaan, petty cash fund, payroll fund, travel fund, interest fund, dividend fund, and tax fund. So for current operations and payment of current obligation. So recorded sila as cash and cash equivalents. While if the cash fund is set aside for non-current purpose or for payment of non-current obligation. So pag non-current obligation and yung purpose ay non-current, it is shown as long-term or non-current investment. So recorded siya as non-current asset under ng long-term investment. So kapag yung fund sinet aside natin for non-current purpose or para bayaran yung mga long-term obligation natin, nire-record natin sila as long-term investment. So under ng non-current asset. So ano yung mga examples niyan? Sinking fund, preference share redemption fund, contingent fund, insurance fund, fund for acquisition or construction of property, plant, and equipment. So, kapag ang purpose ay non-current and or kaya ang para bayaran yung mga non-current obligation natin, so inire-record natin siya as long-term investment. So, yung sinking fund, iyan, ina-allocate natin or siniset aside natin yung fund natin na yan para pambayad sa mga long-term liability. Okay? So, preferential redemption fund, included din siya as long-term investment. So, contingent fund, insurance fund, and fund for acquisition or construction of property, plant, and equipment. So, kunyari, meron kang fund for acquisition of building or kaya for construction of building. So, siyempre, hindi ka naman makakapagpatayo ng building within 1 year, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, yung purpose niya ay long-term or non-current. So, kaya, recorded siya as long-term investment. So, huwag kakalimutan, kapag ang fund ay sinet aside for current operations or for the payment of current obligation, recorded siya as cash and cash equivalents. But kapag ang purpose ay non-current or para bayaran yung mga non-current obligations natin, so recorded siya as long-term investment. So, tandaan nyo yung mga examples na yan para pag nakita nyo sa problems, alam niyo kung ika-classify ba natin siya as cash and cash equivalents. So, guys, huwag kakalimutan yung classification ng cash fund, no? So, the classification of cash fund as current or non-current should be parallel to the classification of liability. Okay? So, kung ang liability ay classified as current, yung cash fund doon ay i-record natin as current. While kapag ang liability ay non-current, so ika-classify natin yung cash fund as non-current. So, example, a sinking fund that is set aside to pay a bond payable shall be classified as current asset when the bond payable is already due within 1 year after the end of reporting period. So, di ba kanina sabi natin yung sinking fund, recorded siya as non-current asset or long-term investment. Kasi, yung sinking fund ay ina-allocate natin or sineset aside natin para bayaran yung long-term liability natin. So, kung sinking fund lang yung makikita nyo doon, So, classified siya as NCA or long-term investment. But kung sinabi na yung sinking fund na inallocate natin para bayaran yung bonds payable at yung bonds payable ay magjuju na within 1 year after the reporting period. So, ibig sabihin, kung due within 1 year, yung bonds payable natin, ang classification niya na ay current liability. So, kaya kung current liability dahil within 1 year na yung due, so babayaran na natin siya within 1 year. So, yung sinking fund natin, hindi ika-classify na natin siya as current asset. Hindi na non-current asset. Kasi yung bonds payable ay current liability. Okay? So, current liability na kasi magjuju within 1 year. However, a cash fund set aside for the acquisition of non-current asset should be classified as non-current regardless of the year of disbursement. So, kapag naman yung cash fund ay sinet aside natin for the acquisition of non-current asset, kunyari for acquisition of building, so since ayun ay non-current asset, so, ire-record pa rin natin yung cash fund natin as long-term investment or NCA. Kahit na yung disbursement or gagastusin na natin siya next year, so, bibili na natin yung building next year, ang classification pa rin ng cash fund ay long-term investment. Okay? So, yun yung classification ng cash fund. So, magbigay tayo ng example para mas madaling maintindihan. So, ito yung example ng cash fund. So, ang tatandaan natin sa cash fund, so, titingnan natin kung ano yung purpose. Kapag yung purpose is for current operations and payment of short-term or current obligation, so, ang classification niya ay current asset. But kapag yan ay gagamitin for non-current or long-term operation or payment for long-term obligation, so ang classification niya ay non-current asset. Okay? So, dito, Thor Company provided the following data on December 31, 2022. So, makikita nyo dyan, cash in sinking fund. Okay? So, ang hinahanap ay kung magkano daw yung i-record natin cash under current assets. So, cash in sinking fund. So, sabi natin pag sinking fund, so yan yung isineset aside natin para mabayaran yung long-term liability natin. So, itong cash in sinking fund, i-add ba natin siya sa cash? So, hindi. Ito should not be recorded as cash because recorded siya as long-term investment. Okay? So, but may exception, di ba? Kapag kunyari yung sinking fund ay babayaran natin for short term na yung or magjuju na siya within 12 months, pwede na siyang i-classify as current asset. So, dito, in general lang sabi niya cash in sinking fund, so hindi siya included as cash. Okay? So, kaya hindi mo isasama yung 2 million dun sa cash natin. Another example ng cash fund. Okay. Campbell Company had the following account balances on December 31, 2022. So, ang tinatanong dyan, magkano daw yung cash and cash equivalents natin on December 31, 2022. So, ito yung reporting date natin. Okay. Or balance sheet date natin. So, December 31, 2022. So, pag tinignan natin yung petty cash fund, 50,000. So, ang petty cash fund ba ay kasama sa cash and cash equivalents? So, di ba sabi natin, ang petty cash fund ay kasama sa cash kasi yan ay cash set aside for short-term purpose. Kaya lang dito sa problem na to, mayroon pang additional information. So, the petty cash fund included unreplenished December 2022 petty cash expense vouchers of 5,000 and employee IOU of 5,000. So, since ito, madidiscuss natin to sa dulo, yung ano natin, petty cash fund. So, babalikan natin. So, kung wala ito, nakalagay lang ay petty cash fund, 50,000. So, i-include natin siya. Okay? So, but ito, merong additional information. So, ito, babalikan natin, i-discuss natin muna yung petty cash fund. Okay? So, ano pa yung susunod dyan na fund? Cash in bank payroll account. So, ibig sabihin yung cash in bank natin na yan para sa payroll. So, ang purpose ay short term. So, tandaan yung payroll fund, 'di ba 'yon? So, itong 1,200,000 na yan, so para pang pasweldo natin. So, included ba siya as cash? Yes. So, i-add natin yan sa cash and cash equivalent. So, kasama yan sa cash natin. Okay? So, ano pa? Cash in bank restricted for plant addition. So, ano sabi natin para maging cash? So, dapat daw ay unrestricted. So, or pwede natin siyang pangbayad ng current liability. Okay? So, dapat ang purpose ay current. So, dito, nirestrict natin for plant addition. So, yung plant addition, so, ibig sabihin ito ay non-current. So, ibig sabihin, ito i-record natin as long-term investment. Okay? So, kahit na i-disburse natin yan within 1 year, since ang purpose nyo talaga ay non-current, so, hindi siya pwedeng i-record as cash. Okay? So, sumunod, sinking fund. Ito, sinking fund set aside for bond payable due June 30, 2023. 2 million. So, ano sabi natin? Pag sinking fund, so, ang purpose natin, ina-allocate natin yan or sineset aside natin yan para bayaran yung long-term liability. Like bonds payable. But, kapag ang long-term liability ay magjuju within 1 year from after the reporting date, so, ika-classify natin yung cash fund as cash and under ng current asset. So, kaya itong cash sinking fund set aside for bond payable June 30, 2023. So, kung due yan no June 30, 2023, reporting period natin is December 31, 2022. So, pasok pa yan sa within 12 months after the reporting period. So, ibig sabihin, so magjuju to ng within 12 months after the reporting period. So, ibig sabihin, ano na yan? Current liability na yan. So, kung current liability na yan, yan 2 million, i-record na natin yan as cash. So, under ng current asset. So, ganyan lang pagdating sa cash fund. So, titingnan yung mabuti kung ang purpose ba ay short term or long term. Classification of investment of excess cash. So, ito guys, kailangan nyo siyang tandaan, no? Investments in time deposit, money market instruments, and treasury bills should be classified as follows. So, yan ay mga investments. So, pwede natin i-classify yan sa tatlo. Pwedeng sila ay cash equivalents or short-term financial assets or temporary investments. So, under siya ng current asset. Or kaya long-term investment, under naman siya ng NCA or non-current asset. So, kailan natin ika-classify yung investment as cash equivalents? Kapag daw ang term ay 3 months or less. So, kapag ang term ng time deposit, money market instruments, and treasury bills ay 3 months or less, ang classification niya ay cash equivalents. So, mamaya, i-discuss natin ng detalyado kung paano natin ika-classify or kung kailan natin ika-classify yung investment natin as cash equivalents. But kapag more than 3 months but within 1 year, so ang classification na natin ng investment na yon ay short-term financial assets. So, di ba yung sa CF, yung financial assets doon, so yun ay current or short-term financial assets or temporary investment under ng current asset. But kapag ang term ay more than 1 year, so ang classification niya na ay long-term investment or under siya ng non-current asset. So, basta pag 3 months or less, cash equivalents. Kapag more than 3 months but within 1 year, ang classification niya ay short-term financial assets under pa rin ng current asset. And kapag more than 1 year, ang classification niya na ay long-term investment under ng non-current asset. So, discuss na natin yung cash equivalence. So, sabi natin, di ba kanina, kapag cash equivalence ang term ay 3 months or less. So, PAS 7 paragraph 6 defines cash equivalence as short-term, highly liquid investment that are readily convertible into cash and so near their maturity that they present insignificant risk of changes in value because of changes in interest rates. So, pag sinabi natin cash equivalent, short-term and highly liquid investment that are readily convertible into cash and so near their maturity that they present insignificant risk of changes in value because of changes in interest rates. Kaya yung cash equivalence, kasama dun siya sa cash, diba? Cash and cash equivalence. Sila yung unang item sa current asset kasi sila yung most liquid. Okay? So, highly liquid investment siya. Kasi sabi nga natin, so ang term niya lang ay 3 months or less than 3 months. So, ibig sabihin, so mako-convert na yon into cash. So, kaya siya highly liquid investment. So, the standard further states that only high liquid investments that are acquired 3 months before maturity can qualify as cash equivalents. So guys, ang tatandaan nyo lagi, di ba 3 months before maturity, acquired 3 months before maturity. So ibig sabihin, kapag kunyari meron kang dime deposit, money market, or kaya treasury bills, in-acquire natin 3 months before ng maturity. So, yun lang yung pwede nating i-qualify as cash equivalents. So, anong tatandaan? Ang pinaka-importante dyan is yung date of purchase. Dapat yung date of purchase ay 3 months or less before ng maturity para ma-classify as cash equivalents. Examples of cash equivalents are 3-month BSP Treasury Bill. Yung BSP dyan ay Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. 3-year BSP Treasury Bill purchased 3 months before the date of maturity. 3-month time deposit, 3-month money market instrument or commercial paper. So, di ba, pinatanda ko sa inyo guys yung Treasury Bill, time deposits, and yung money market, pwede i-classify sa tatlo: cash equivalents, short-term investment, and long-term investment. So, ano lang ang tatandaan para maklasify as cash equivalents? Dapat yung date of purchase ay 3 months before maturity date. So, kaya ito, 3-month BSP Treasury Bill, pasok yan, 3 months, di ba? 3-month time deposit, pasok din. 3-month money market instrument or commercial paper, pasok din. So, dito sa letter B, dito maraming nagkakamali. Kasi sabi niya, ma'am, bakit ganun 3 years yan? Pero sinama natin as cash equivalents. Kasi, sabi natin, ang importante kung kailan natin siya pinurchase. Basta pinurchase natin siya 3 months before the date of maturity, kahit originally ang term niya ay 3 years, so ika-classify natin as cash equivalents. So, for example, kunyari si Company A, nung Company A, nag-invest siya ng 500,000 sa Treasury Bill. Okay? So, nag-invest siya nung February 1, 2020. So, ang term daw ay 3 taon. So, kung February 1, 2020, so, magmamature yan January 31, 2023. Kasi 2020, 21, 22, so 23. So, 3 years yung original term niya. Pagdating kay Company A, sa kanyang financial statement ng 2020, so December 31, 2020, yung 500,000 na yan, ika-classify niya as long-term investment. Bakit? Kasi ilang years, 'di ba? So 3 years. So ibig sabihin, ang classification niya ay long-term investment. Sabi natin kapag ang term ay more than 1 year, ang classification ay long-term investment. Kaya lang, pagdating ng December 1, 2022, kailangan na ng cash ni Company A. So, ngayon, sabi niya, binebenta niya sa atin tong 500,000, December 1, 2022. Bilhin mo na tong Treasury Bill ko, hindi ko na maiintay yung maturity date niya ng January 31, 2023. So, kaya, binenta niya sa atin ng December 1, 2022. Okay, so tayo yung nag-purchase, nag-acquire nung 500,000 na yan. Kailan natin in-acquire? December 1, 2022. Kailan magmamature? January 31, 2023. But originally, ang term, 3 taon. Kaya lang, binili natin ilang months before the maturity date. December, January. So, 2 months before the maturity date. So, kaya pagdating ng December 31, 2022 financial statement natin, so, ire-record natin yung 500,000 as cash equivalents. Bakit cash equivalents yung 500,000? Yung 500,000. Kasi, binili natin December 1, 2022, ang kanyang maturity ay January 31, 2023. So, ilang months before the maturity date natin pinurchase? 2 months. So, pasok pa rin siya dun sa 3 months or less. Kaya, ika-classify natin siya as cash equivalents. Okay? So, ganun lang yun. So, equity securities cannot qualify as cash equivalents because shares do not have a maturity date. Let's say, nag-invest ka, nagbili ka ng shares, so hindi ika-classify yun as cash equivalents, yung in-invest natin sa shares. Bakit? Kasi hindi naman, wala naman yung maturity date yung pag-invest natin or yung shares natin. Let's say, nag-invest ka ng shares dun sa isang corporation. So, yung investment natin na yun, yung shares natin dun, hindi natin siya ika-classify as cash equivalents kasi wala namang maturity date yun. However, preference shares with specified redemption date and acquired 3 months before redemption date can qualify as cash equivalents. But meron tayong mga di ba, yung redeemable shares. So kapag pinurchase natin siya 3 months before the redemption date, so yun yung pwede nating i-classify as cash equivalents. Okay? Note that what is important is the date of purchase, which should be 3 months or less before maturity. Okay, kaya nga kanina, yung 3-year treasury bill natin, but pinurchase natin 2 months before the maturity, so ikin-classify natin as cash equivalents. Thus, a BSP treasury bill that was purchased 1 year ago cannot qualify as cash equivalent even if the remaining maturity is 3 months or less. So, paano kung bumili tayo ng treasury bill 1 year ago, pero ang natitira na lang niyang maturity ay 3 months or less. So, anong importante? Yung date of purchase. So, kung kailan natin siya binili. Okay? So, kung binili natin siya 1 year ago, kahit na may remaining maturity date niya na lang ay 3 months or less, hindi pa rin natin siya pwede i-classify as cash equivalent. Okay? So, for example, meron tayong binili December 1, 2021. Okay? Ang maturity daw, let's say, February 1, 2023. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, pagdating sa December 31, 2022 natin na financial position, yung pinurchase natin, let's say, 100,000. Kailan natin siya pinurchase? December 1, 2021. Okay? So, ang titingnan kung kailan natin siya pinurchase. So, kung December 1, 2021 natin siya pinurchase, ngayon December 31, 2022, yung 100,000 na yan, hindi natin pwedeng i-record or i-classify as cash equivalent. Kahit na ang remaining terms niya na lang ay ilang months na lang, from December 31 to 2022 to 2023 February 1. So, isang buwan na lang, di ba? So, hindi mo pa rin siya ika-classify as cash equivalents kahit na ang maturity period niya ay 3 months or less. Kasi, ang tinitingnan natin is yung date of purchase. So, kaya hindi pa rin niya ika-classify as cash equivalent. Okay? So, ganun lang siya, guys. So, basta ang tatandaan ay yung date of purchase should be 3 months or less before maturity date. Okay? So, pag meron kayo nakita nakalagay certificate of deposit, ibig sabihin yan ay time deposit. Okay? So, pareho lang yan. So, example para sa cash equivalents, Tranvia Company revealed the following information on December 31, 2023. So, ang tinatanong dyan, what amount should be reported as cash equivalents on December 31, 2023. So, ang reporting period natin ay December 31, 2023. Sabi natin, ang cash equivalents, ang titingnan natin is yung date of acquisition. Dapat ay 3 months or less before nung maturity. So, yung money market, time deposit, and treasury bills. So, dito, meron dito example, treasury bill, purchase November 1, 2023, maturing January 31, 2024. So, kailan natin pinurchase? Pinurchase natin November 1, 2023. Kailan magmamature? January 31, 2024. So, ilang months yan? Ilang months? Mula nung November 1 to January 31. November, December, January. So, ibig sabihin 3 months. Pinurchase natin 3 months before maturity. So, itong 3,500,000, kasama ba yan sa cash equivalents? Yes. So, kasama yan sa cash equivalents. Kasi, 3 months before maturity natin, in-acquire yung treasury bill. While yung time deposit naman daw, purchase December 1, 2023, maturing March 31, 2024. So, kailan natin pinurchase? December 1, 2023. Kailan magmamature? March 31, 2024. So, pag binilang natin yan, ilang months sila? December 1 to March 31, December, January, February, March. So, ibig sabihin, 4 months before ng maturity natin in-acquire. So, i-include ba natin yan as cash equivalents? So, hindi. So, itong 4 million, hindi siya included na cash equivalent. Kasi, more than 3 months yung maturity niya nung pinurchase natin siya. Okay? So, dito, meron ding nakalagay dito, cash in money market. Okay? Cash in money market account. 750,000. Walang nilagay na term. Kung 3 months, 1 year, or more than 1 year. So, kapag walang nilagay na term, so, ilalagay na natin siya as cash equivalents. So, pag kumbaga silent, nakalagay lang money market, so, 750,000. So, i-include siya as cash equivalents. Kung meron kayong makita na time deposit, nakalagay lang time deposit, 100,000. So, i-include mo siya as cash equivalents. Kasi kung yan ay short-term investment or long-term investment, ilalagay nila, kunyari 6 months or kaya 1 year or kaya 2 years para maklasify sila as short-term and long-term investment. So, kapag silent, nakalagay lang money market, treasury bill, or kaya time deposit, 100,000, 300,000, so, included sila as cash equivalent. Kaya itong 750,000 ay kasama sa cash equivalents. Okay? So, ito, merong isa na lang yung hindi na isama, cash in checking account. Since ang tinatanong ay cash and cash equivalents, so, yung tatlo, itong dalawa ay cash equivalents. Ito hindi, yung pang-apat, yung 4 million, hindi siya kasama. So, itong 350,000 ba na to ay cash and cash equivalents. Cash in checking account, yes, kasama to as kasama yan as cash, diba? So, kaya magkano ang cash and cash equivalents natin dyan? 350,000 plus 750,000 plus 3,500,000. So, equals, magkano yan? So, 4,600,000. So, ang sagot dyan is 4,600,000. So, ito yun. So, ang sagot ay letter C. So, yan lang pagdating sa cash and cash equivalent. So, ang tatandaan ay yung date of purchase, dapat 3 months before maturity yung date of purchase or yung acquisition date natin para maklasify as cash equivalents.